Advancing understanding and deliberating values are critical core commitments, but ultimately our impact as tech stewards comes through our third core commitment to practice behaviors. The essence of practicing tech stewardship behaviors is about spotting and navigating the inevitable value tensions you will face throughout your career so that you can find both end opportunities that achieve the upsides of both tech development and tech stewardship, and avoid the negative consequences that happen when we engage in either or tug of wars. To do this, we first need to be able to notice tensions when they arise. The majority of people never build this kind of sensitivity. Unless a major incident occurs, they generally accept things as they are and engage only at the level of information, instead of becoming aware of the underlying values that are at play. As tech stewards, we need to build our radar to scan both our immediate surroundings and the horizon for tensions related to the development of technology. As we find the tensions, we need to name and describe them in a way that helps us to engage with them more productively. This then allows us to reflect critically on the tensions and find opportunities within them, and ultimately to take action to unlock the both end opportunities within the tensions. Note that action doesn't have to be, and most often isn't, something dramatic. It's often something simple, like having a conversation about a tension with a peer or your supervisor to begin exploring what might be possible. The main activity that we will leverage to support our practice of the tech stewardship behaviors is to share stories. Stories are how we capture and share opportunities to practice tech stewardship behaviors in the real world. What do we mean by story? Here are 4 examples that are representative of the types of stories we'll be asking you to collect. We've selected these examples to demonstrate the possible range of story sources and subjects you'll be invited to share. First off, here's a sample personal story about seeking purpose. My group's capstone design project aims to design an Arctic patrol vessel for the Canadian Coast Guard. This week, we were reviewing the mission of the vessel and how it will interact with the environment and communities of the Canadian Arctic. We were given a very focused purpose in our assignment, but in reflecting on the behavior of seek purpose, we began to see broader opportunities that we might also be able to achieve without compromising our primary objectives. We found that instead of just designing a vessel to do basic patrol and sovereignty tasks, we could make our ship more useful by designing it to support Arctic communities and their residents, and as well to provide environmental support for a fragile ecosystem. Our second example story is relating someone else's story about a time where they took responsibility. Because I'm interested in a potential career in academia and R&D, I reached out to a contact who is currently completing their PhD in engineering. Her thesis is focused on understanding the root causes of the Flint, Michigan water crisis, where thousands of citizens contracted lead poisoning. This researcher was telling me about how she had completed her assessment of the technical aspects of the situation, and she had started to explore the social aspects, for example, the role the local government had played in the crisis. When she checked in with her research advisor, he told her to stop because the social aspects of the failure don't count as engineering and therefore aren't relevant to her PhD. This person and I discussed the opportunity to not just accept her advisor's guidance, but rather to politely challenge their beliefs around what should and should not be considered the domain and responsibility of engineering. If this isn't successful, she said she'd keep trying and different approaches because she's passionate about completing what she sees as a full analysis of the situation. Going forward, I anticipate I may find myself in similar situations and will also look to challenge people's underlying assumptions. You can find these 2 example stories in a downloadable document below. The written format of these stories aligns with how we will be instructing you to capture your own stories. In addition to the 2 stories I just shared, we've also included another 2 stories in the downloadable document, which are examples based on the remaining 2 tech stewardship behaviors and that also draw on different story sources. To help build your capacity and habits, we challenge you to step through the tech stewardship behaviors one at a time, and for each behavior to spot and share a story similar to the ones I just shared. As you turn your focus to each behavior, we will share more detailed info on that behavior so that you can better familiarize yourself with it. We will also share a few examples from practicing tech stewards of their experience practicing the behavior. Then we suggest that you take roughly a week to be on the lookout for examples of both-end opportunities relating to that behavior. And at the end of the week, you will submit a story. And as you saw in the example stories I shared, the source of your story can be personal, that is from your own experience, or you can relate someone else's experience. It can be something that's inspired from something you saw in the news, or it can be based on a scenario. And we're going to provide you a few scenario options that you can choose to draw from. We provided these 4 different options for sources of stories in order to give you the maximum flexibility as you build your capacity and habits. Note that of the 4 choices, personal stories are the gold standard, as ultimately your tech stewardship practice is about you. You will submit your stories using a Share a Story tool. This tool has instructions built into it, so you don't have to remember everything I'm about to say, but here's a quick overview and preview of what to expect. Your stories can be set in the past, something that's already happened, the present, something that's currently underway, or the future, a speculative story of what could happen. It could take place in any setting: academia, industry, government, a nonprofit, or professional association. It could be about different technologies, whether they be more traditional, for example, bridges, mining, automobiles, or cutting edge, for example, AI, gene editing, or nanotechnology, or combinations of technologies like smart cities. It could be related to the development of technology directly, for example, research or detailed design, or indirect contributions like policymaking or education. They can be stories about an incremental step, a failed attempt, pragmatic compromise, or breakthrough. The 4 tech stewardship STEW behaviors are designed to help you spot and navigate the value tensions and opportunities in your current context, that is your current work or learning spaces. In the final practice cycle, P5, you will be introduced to a different type of behavior, one that combines tech stewardship with proactive career management so that you can navigate your career towards opportunities where you are best able to contribute as a tech steward. As you practice behaviors, you will have opportunities to engage with your peers, coworkers, and new contacts. As you do so, it is important to be respectful in your engagement by taking a curious rather than a judgmental mindset, one that seeks to understand the constraints and tensions that other people and organizations are facing. To be effective in your engagement, we suggest focusing on questions rather than statements or giving recommendations. For example, instead of saying, "I really think we need to engage an accessibility advocacy group to give us feedback on our product," a more effective approach is to say, "I'm curious if the company has ever thought about engaging an accessibility advocacy group to give us feedback on our product." In this way, as tech stewards, we can better understand the tensions that are at play and empathize with different stakeholders, which helps create the conditions for practical progress. Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoy practicing the tech stewardship behaviors.